I had a hard time wrapping my head around the concept of Back to the Future when I was a kid. Wait, so there's this guy who goes back to the future, but it's not actually the future, it's the past. But now his past is the future. Wait a minute, isn't that an X-Men film? Hang on, is that his mum?
It's an absolute
But despite its numerous plot holes and inconsistencies, the Back to the Future trilogy is as beloved now as it was when it first released. I recently rewatched all three films, having not seen them for a good few years, and I was so relieved when I found myself enjoying these movies more than I ever have. I felt like I was experiencing these films again for the first time, and was reminded how much I love the third entry of the trilogy in particular. If you thought Marty McFly couldn't get any cooler, how about Marty McFly as a freaking cowboy? Wait, no, not that version. Wait, that's the one! So after wrapping up the third film, I was browsing Letterboxd, hoping to find some fellow gunslingers like myself who love and appreciate Back to the Future 3 just as much as I do. But instead, all I found was hollow, cynical monologues from some goddamn yellowbellies who obviously don't understand cinema. Okay, that was harsh, but this film is just so good. I'm not going to sit here and say Back to the Future 3 is superior to 1 and 2, because, well, that isn't my opinion, but it's also just not true. 1 and 2 are landmark films with incredible set pieces and innovative special effects that continue to inspire movies to this very day. Seriously, are we ever going to get a hoverboard? Is Back to the Future 3 the most exciting film in the trilogy? Probably not. But whilst 1 and 2 concern themselves with the connections and fractures caused in multiple timelines, Back to the Future 3 focuses on the connections the characters make with one another. Back to the Future 3 brings some much needed heart to an already soulful story. And also, we finally get to see Doc Brown undertake his most ambitious experiment yet, scoring some ass! In terms of storytelling, the third film doesn't do much to improve on the foundations the previous two movies set. In fact, most of the story's signature moves kind of overstay their welcome. The film begins with another encounter of Marty surprising Doc, despite having just sent him to the future or the past or wherever the fuck Marty's supposed to be. The dynamic duo team up again, ignoring the explicit instructions set by 1885 Doc Brown, and set out to use the DeLorean to save him one final time. I think at this point, Doc is just sick of Marty's shit and wants to live a peaceful life in the Old West. Seriously, kid, I'm sick of getting dragged into your weird masculinity crisis. You think being called chicken is bad? Wait till some no-good gutter trap calls you yellow! Once Marty sort of successfully arrives in 1885, he meets his ancestors and arrives in Hill Valley, where he bumps into Mad Dog Tannen, and the famous Biff chasing Marty through the town square scene happens again. This is arguably the least impressive of all three of these scenes, but it does achieve one thing the first two films doesn't. For the first time ever, I actually felt like Marty was in serious danger. This isn't just a couple of kids chasing each other on skateboards over some girl who may or may not be Marty's mother, but shit, are we about to see Marty McFly get hanged? Of course not. Doc Brown saves the day, and Marty, but in doing so, seals his own fate in the form of a gravestone that is still yet unmarked. Doc and Marty go on to alter the future even more by saving Clara from falling into the ravine, but this brings about the film's greatest strength in my opinion, and that's Doc and Clara's relationship. Before this, Doc didn't have time for personal affairs, and it just felt super refreshing to see Doc discard what he thinks he knows and follow his heart for a change. Doc and Marty ultimately end up powering up the DeLorean again so they can return home in a train sequence that is seriously just so fun to watch. I recognise that this is certainly the weaker film of the trilogy, but it has a special place in my heart. It's a lot of fun, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it gave us great lines like this.
He's an asshole.
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and I'll see you next time. Take care.